How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to my channel, The Cosmic Wonder, where we talk about all things relating to Marvel and, of course, the MCU. We have had some major news just recently be dropped yesterday and today. Mark Ruffalo talks about returning as the Hulk, not only returning for a TV series, She-Hulk, but also whether or not he's going to return for his own movie or team-up film and what that film could be about. Not to mention that Taika Waititi has recently teased that Hulk could show up in Thor: Love and Thunder. And also, Mark Ruffalo mentioned again a Hulk vs. Wolverine film. And to top it all off, we have Hugh Jackman talking about whether or not he is actually considering coming back to Marvel to play Wolverine. So we'll first start off by going over the interview that Mark Ruffalo was recently in, where he talked about the Hulk, and then go into the Hugh Jackman interview talking about Wolverine. If you're new, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date on everything happening in the MCU, and I'm also giving away an Xbox One or a PS4 at 550,000 subscribers, almost there. So this first interview is with Mark Ruffalo and Variety, and it's the interview where he drops another Hulk vs. Wolverine bomb. Now, of course, everybody wants Mark Ruffalo to return to play the Hulk. Not everybody was completely satisfied with his story arc in Avengers Endgame. And as it turns out, as revealed by Variety, Mark Ruffalo wants to return to play the character as well. Now, we've heard Mark Ruffalo kind of talk about him returning to the MCU, and we've heard him say that he's had meetings with Kevin Feige to talk about the future of the Hulk and see if there's anything there. A lot of people think that he is definitely returning, which would make a ton of sense, but here's what he had to say on the subject. When saying that he would like to return, he also added, "There's nothing completely at a place where it's a done deal. There's some talk of having Banner / the Hulk show up in the Disney Plus series She-Hulk if we come up with something good. That would be really interesting. Right now, that's about it. That's all there is on the table." However, he then went on to talk about a stand-alone Hulk film and what he would like to see if that happened. And he said, "There's an idea that I think could be really interesting. We never really followed him into his life. He's always kind of off on the side. He's like the Rosencrantz and the Guildenstern of the Avengers. It'd be interesting to fill in all the blanks about what happened to him in between all these movies." Which is kind of what they did in Thor Ragnarok. At the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, the Hulk left. Nobody knew what happened to him until Thor Ragnarok. But Mark Ruffalo wants an entire solo Hulk film dedicated to what he's done. But of course, before the ending, he again went on to say that he would love to see a Hulk vs. Wolverine film, and he explained why. The interview explains that Mark Ruffalo grew up reading comics, but specifically Marvel Comics, X-Men, and Wolverine. And he says that now that Disney / Marvel has purchased Fox, and with it the rights to the X-Men characters and films and Wolverine, maybe Hulk and Wolverine could hook up. Now, mind you, this is the fourth time that Mark Ruffalo has said a Hulk vs. Wolverine film is what he would like to see in an official interview with a major media outlet. He 100% knows that people are going to hear about this. He 100% knows that people like me are going to make videos on it. So it seems like something is definitely going on here, and not to mention we've actually had previous reports in the past, several months ago, stating that there is a Hulk vs. Wolverine film being talked about. Some of you may recall that a Hulk vs. Wolverine film was talked about last year in September. Community scooper Mikey Sutton mentioned on his Facebook group that a Hulk vs. Wolverine film was being talked about at Marvel Studios. And now, many months later, Mark Ruffalo in an interview has expressed interest in a Wolverine vs. the Hulk solo film for the fourth time. So clearly something is going on over at Marvel Studios, even if it's just being talked about for the current moment. But the real question is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. If we're having a Wolverine versus the Hulk film, who is going to be the Wolverine? Could Hugh Jackman be returning? In Mikey Sutton's original report, they said that they're going to recast Wolverine. It will not be Hugh Jackman, and he also said that it's probably several years away. Well, now we have an official answer from Hugh Jackman himself. In an interview the other day with the Daily Beast, Hugh Jackman opened up a lot. He talked a lot about his upcoming film, Bad Education, and then of course he was asked about Wolverine. He talked about how this year in June is going to be 20 years since his debut as Wolverine in the Fox X-Men film. And then of course in the interview, they had to ask if he was returning, and they said, "You were great as Wolverine, particularly in Logan, which was such a nice coda to the character. Now that Disney and Fox are merged, it does seem like there are a lot of possibilities for the X-Men universe to expand in ways that it couldn't before." And to that he replied, "Totally. Honestly, Marlo, if 7 years ago that had happened, I'd be like, oh yeah, but I knew it was the right time for me to leave the party. Not just for me, but for the character. Somebody else will pick it up and run with it. It's too good of a character not to. It's kind of like you're on your way home and your friend rings you and goes, oh, dude, a new DJ just came on and the music is awesome. Are you going to come back?" And you say, "Sounds good, but no. They're fine with someone else." So, straight from the mouth of Hugh Jackman himself, he is done with Wolverine. And he even has mentioned before that Logan was the perfect send-off and his goodbye to the character Wolverine. Now, it is also important to note that Patrick Stewart also said the same exact thing, but he has recently met with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to talk about Charles Xavier in the MCU. Now, it seems kind of clear that Patrick Stewart is done, but perhaps he could be brought on board to consult for the new Professor Xavier that is coming on. Because clearly Kevin Feige talked to him about plans. Patrick Stewart said it himself. And if he's not returning, which he stated, what else could he be doing meeting with Kevin Feige? He's giving advice on the character. He's helping Kevin Feige with the direction. And it does seem like Professor Xavier is going to be headed to the MCU before Wolverine does. But when that time comes, when Wolverine enters the MCU, they will most likely speak to Hugh Jackman about the character, about the direction they want to go, about the stories they want to tell, because he was a great Wolverine. We all loved him, and it's hard to imagine anybody else as Wolverine right now. And I think that the saddest thing is about this all is that he said if it was 7 years ago and this had happened, Disney had bought Fox, he would have loved to do it. He would have loved to play Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe 7 years ago, not even like a full 10 years, but only 7 years ago, and he would have done it. We missed him just barely. But hopefully he does come back and consult with Marvel Studios about what to do with the next Wolverine that's going to enter the MCU. But this does leave us with the question of, if we do get a Hulk versus Wolverine movie, who is going to play Wolverine, which of course we can't answer right now, there's no way of knowing, and what direction are they going to take the Hulk? Well, according to the same report that Mikey stated way back last year in September, we're going to get some version of Immortal Hulk. Now, for those of you who are not aware of who Immortal Hulk is, it's a very, very different version of the Hulk, Professor Hulk, that we saw in Avengers Endgame. Immortal Hulk could quite possibly be the most terrorizing Hulk that there is. Immortal Hulk is brutal and he even punches holes through planets. But there's also a very big psychological and emotional component to Immortal Hulk. And if we think about everything that's happened to Bruce Banner and the Hulk since the very first Avengers film all the way up to Infinity War and Endgame, there's definitely a psychological side that we have not yet explored with the Hulk. But again, if Marvel Studios does go ahead and decide to actually make a Wolverine versus Hulk film, it will probably be a few years away. Which means that we will probably see the Hulk show up before then. And as Mark Ruffalo mentioned in the interview, there are plans right now, nothing concrete, but are plans for him to appear in She-Hulk, and it makes perfect sense because we just got the official synopsis for She-Hulk. And it reads, "Following an injury, Jennifer Walters receives an emergency blood transfusion from her cousin, Bruce Banner, and acquires a milder version of his Hulk condition. As such, Walters becomes a large, powerful, green-hued version of herself while still largely retaining her personality. In particular, she retains her intelligence and emotional control, although, like Hulk, she still becomes stronger if enraged." And it's also been revealed that shooting for the She-Hulk Disney Plus series is going to be starting in July and will be filmed in Atlanta. The synopsis basically describes exactly who Jennifer Walters is, but the big part is that, just like in the comics, in this Disney Plus series, Jennifer Walters, or She-Hulk, is going to become the Hulk and get her condition from her cousin, who is Bruce Banner. We all assume that they're going to show some type of origin story for her, how she becomes the Hulk, so it would just make perfect sense that they would have Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner in the show. Now, we probably won't get that much hulking out from him. He'll probably just step in to save the day, but he'll still be Professor Hulk unless he somehow manages to separate himself again, which I don't think is going to happen. So it seems like the first time that we're going to see the Hulk return to the MCU is going to be She-Hulk. But the great news is that it does seem like Mark Ruffalo Ruffalo really wants a Hulk versus Wolverine film, and he's talked about it enough to make us believe that he's definitely talked to Kevin Feige about it, and Marvel Studios is definitely mulling it over. And even if we don't get Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine, which it looks like we're not going to, it will still be awesome to see a Hulk versus Wolverine film. But let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Let me know who you would like to play Wolverine. We're clearly not getting Hugh Jackman back now, so who's your second pick? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe with notifications turned on so you can stay up to date on everything happening in the MCU. For live updates, you can follow me on Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.